Wala yung third line. Wala yung mga.
Ano yung kasunod? Magandang gabi po, magandang araw po sa bawat isa. Narito po tayo ngayon sa isa na naman pong talakayin na ating pag-uusapan. At napapanahon, mainit na kaganapan sa ating daigdig. Bago po tayo magsimula, ako po si Pastor Ryan Pongki ng Living Hope Baptist Church.
Ako naman po si Pastor Lino Ortega ng Okanagan Valley Baptist Mission na bumabati po sa inyo isang
Magandang gabi, Pastor Rico Rodriguez, New Testament Baptist Church.
At ngayong araw po na ito, ngayong gabi mga kapatid, mga kaibigan, pag-uusapan po natin sa ating doctrine discussion and study. Ito pong katatapos lamang po na paglalagda ng agreement between some Arab states, particularly Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates with the State of Israel. Tinawag nga po itong agreement na ito na the Abraham Accord. So, recognizing bakit po tinawag na Abraham Accord ay meron po yung biblical significance o may biblical background po yan. No? Knowing that the Jews and Arabs are the descendants of Abraham. Ang mga Hudyo po at ang mga Arabo ay galing po sa isang ama, pinanggalingan o ascendants ng kanilang forefathers na si Abraham. So, the Jews are the descendants of Jacob, from Isaac, sa anak ni Abraham na si Isaac, then Jacob. At ang mga Arabs naman po, claiming they are the descendants of Ishmael, yung anak po ni Abraham kay Hagar, yung handmaid po ni Sarah. So it is called Abraham's Accord. Not just, hindi lang dahil po ang mga Arabs and the Israelites are the descendants of Abraham. But also, meron po yung ibang probably hidden agenda, but it is called Abraham's Accord. To give you some short historical background, bakit po kailangan na magkaroon ng ganitong agreement between some Arab countries. Hindi po kasi lahat pa ng Arabs ay nagkakaroon pa ng agreement sa Israel, State of Israel. So, meron pa lang pong mga iilan na nakipag-agree o nakipagkasundo na sa bansang Israel. At yung nga po yung una, yung 1980s, o 1979, to be exact, Egypt was the first to sign a peace agreement with Israel, followed by Jordan. Yung dalawang lang po yung leading na countries. Yung po yung consequence as a result ng Yom Kippur War in 1973. We all know in history that war, nagkaroon po because of that war, naibalik po ng State of Israel yung territory ng Egypt because of the Camp David Agreement in 1979. Naibalik po. At dahil po doon, as a consequence of that, nagkaroon po ng peace treaty ng Egypt and Israel. At ang kasunod naman po dyan yung Jordan. At doon po na-agree na yung pamamahala ng West Bank, yun po yung portion ngayon, yun po yung territory na kiniklaim ng future state ng mga Palestine, mga Palestinian, Arabs, ay nagkaroon po sila ng peace agreement with Israel. They were the two. They are the two countries, Arab countries, na nagsimula po ng peace agreement, na meron pong peace agreement ng Israel. And the rest of the Arab world, wala pong peace agreement, and marami po sa mga Muslim countries and Arab countries ay hindi po nire-recognize ang state of Israel. They are saying that the state of Israel is illegal state o hindi illegal. o hindi dapat nag-exist. And they are aiming to destroy, to erase Israel from the map and replace it with the Palestinian state. So, bakit po kailangan, ano po yung significance ng agreement na ito? Ito po ay historic agreement, mga kapatid, kasi it signifies many things. At sabi nga rito sa ating subtitle, Reshaping the Middle East Political Landscape. O panibago na. Kasi yung policy po dati, mga kapatid, mga kaibigan, ng mga Arabs, in regards to Israel, meron po silang policy na walang normalization ng ties sa Israel unless na ma-create o magkaroon ng separate Palestinian state. So saan ba galing yung kaguluhan ito, ng mga discord po na ito, kaya di ba? Abraham Accord, saan ba galing yung mga kaguluhan na ito? Bakit may enmity ng mga Arabs sa mga Jews? Noong 1947, noong 1948, bago pa po ma-re-establish ang State of Israel, yung area po na yan, yung Palestine, ay was under the mandate of the British Empire. So nung na-expire po yung mandate ng British Empire in 1947 or 1948, na-re-establish po yung State of Israel. Alam po natin sa history na yung mga Hudyo po for almost 2,000 years, wala po silang sariling homeland, wala po silang sariling states. They were scattered sa iba't ibang panig o sa iba't ibang dako ng mundo. They were scattered in Europe, in the Americas, in Africa, all over the world po. Wala po silang sariling state. And in 1914, bago pong sumiklab yung World War I, meron na pong claimor yung mga Jews, mga Hudyo sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, na magkaroon silang separate Jewish state. So at that time, yung Palestine ay isa pong probinsya ng Ottoman Empire. O yung present-day Israel, present-day Iraq, present-day Syria, present-day Lebanon was under the Ottoman Empire. And during the First World War, yung World War I po, the British government promised sa mga Jews o nangako sila sa mga Hudyo through the Balfour Declaration na pagkatapos ng gera, kung magwawagi ang British Empire laban sa Ottoman Empire, mag-create ng Jewish state o State of Israel doon sa Palestine. So, the Arabs, so nung natalo po yung Ottoman Empire in the World War I, yun po yung present-day Turkey, yung mga Arabs po ay nagre-resist o hindi po sila na pumapayag na mag-establish ng Jewish state doon sa bansa, doon sa lugar, yung Palestine po, na kinukonsider nila na sa kanila. So they opposed the creation of the State of Israel. So, until 1948, nung nag-expire na po yung mandate ng British Empire, it was the first Arab-Israeli war. Ito po yung unang digmaan ng mga Hudyo at mga Arabo. It lasts for almost 1 year or 2 years or 1 year. Until on May 8, 1948, the State of Israel was re-established. Yung po yung unang digmaan, no? Yung kapapanganak pa lang, nagsisimula pa lang yung State of Israel. On that first day, lahat po ng surrounding Arab countries ay inatake, nilusog yung bansang Israel, yung infant State of Israel, in hoping to defeat and annihilate, erase the State of Israel, the young State of Israel. So, as we know in history, the Arabs failed. The Arabs were defeated. Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Transjordan, all of the surrounding Arab states were defeated by Israel. And in 1956, the Swiss crisis, it was the second Arab-Israeli war between Arab Egypt and Israel. So again, that war, natalo po ulit yung mga Arabo, yung Egypt. So temporarily na nahulog po sa kamay ng ng Israel ang Sinai Peninsula. And in 1967, yung Sinai Peninsula po mga kapatid ay naging andun po naka-station yung UN Peacekeeping Force. At noong 1967, by the leadership of Nasser, Gamal Nasser, he demanded na umalis yung UN Peacekeeping Force sa Sinai Peninsula. At doon po sumiklab yung Six-Day War. Six-Day War po noong 1967, which Israel won in just 6 days. So yung 6 days war po mga kapatid, no? Yung overwhelming po yung advantage ng mga Arabs. No? Despite of that, natalo pa rin ng ng State of Israel, yung surrounding Arab countries, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. Ayun pa rin po yung mga antagonist na yan. That was the Second Arab-Israeli War. In 1973, the Yom Kippur War. So at that time, to make the long story short, it was the Third Arab-Israeli War. Again, the Arabs were defeated, and in 1982, Lebanon War. Again, the Arabs were defeated, even nasakop po ng mga Jews yung portion ng Lebanon, yung South Lebanon, until 1990 na ginibap na po nila yung area at nirestore po sa Lebanon. So in short mga kapatid, there was a long standing enmity between Arabs and Jews. Nung simula pa lang, yung inception pa lang ng State of Israel, meron silang kaguluhan, hindi pagkakasundo sa mga, at alam po natin na yung mga Arab countries, they are supporting their fellow Arabs, the Palestinian Arabs. Ito po kasi yung issue nila eh. Bakit yung most Arab countries and some Muslim countries ay wala pong normal ties sa bansang Israel because of the Palestinian issue. Ito po kasi mga Palestinian nito, they are claiming that all of Israel, present-day Israel, is a Palestinian state. So, nung wala pa pong wala pa pong peace agreement ang some other Arab countries, meron po silang kondisyon na unless na ma-create yung Palestinian state, walang normalization of ties. So, yung peace accord po na ba yan ay, yung Abraham Accord po ba na yan ay peace agreement or strategic alliance? Una po, no, mga kapatid, mga kaibigan, bakit hindi po siya, yung United Arab Emirates sa Bahrain, hindi po siya at war sa Israel. So, hindi may tuturing na peace agreement. Kasi they are not at war. Ang nangyari lang, mga
Parang ano yan,
normalization of ties.
parang ginawang testing ground. Actually, behind all of that peace accord ngayon yung Abraham Accord. Parang testing ground ng mga Saudis daw yan.
Yes, isa rin pong dimension niya ng usapin na yun, ano? So, isa rin pong, itong titingnan po natin, ito bang agreement na ito ay peace agreement or strategic alliance? So, maaaring, kaya may peace agreement yung mga Arab sa bansang Israel for their gain, para po sa kanilang kapakinabangan, para sa kanilang benefit. So, wala kasing benepisyo kung patuloy yung mga Arabo sa pakikipag-digma, yung sa bansang Israel. Walang sa kanila eh, walang pakinabang. Kasi the Arab countries like Kuwait, lahat po yan, sumusuporta sila sa bansa, sa mga Palestinian cause. And because of that issue, hindi po normal yung ties ng mga Arab countries sa bansang Israel. Una po, is it a peace agreement? But rather, ito po ay normalization of ties. Kasi, first of all, they are not warring. Hindi po sila at war sa isa't isa. So, by this agreement, kinikilala ng mga bansang Arabo na ito yung existence, yung legitimacy ng bansang Israel. Kasi some of them nagsasabi na itong bansang Israel, State of Israel, is an illegal state. Kasi they are accusing Israel of usurping the Palestinian Arabs of their land, of their country. Di ba? Kiniklaim nga po kasi ng mga Palestinians na itong bansang Israel na ito ay sa kanila. Itong mga religious site nito ay sa kanila. Di ba? Some of them believe that Israel is the enemy. So, they are not conscious na itong pagbabalik ng Israel sa bansa nila, mga Jews sa bansa nila ay fulfillment ng po sa sinasabi ng Biblia, that they will be scattered and they will be regarded. Magtitipon. Ito ba ay peace agreement o strategic alliance? Una po, ito po ay normalization of ties. Pagiging normal yung pagkikilala ng mga Arab states sa legitimacy ng bansang Israel. Na hindi nila ito kikilalanin na illegal state. Yun po yung historic dito. Kasi for more than 70 years, kinikilala nila ang bansang Israel as an illegal state. An state that shouldn't exist. Hindi dapat nag-exist. Diba yun nga yung goal ng mga Arabs is to destroy and erase Israel from the map of the Middle East. So, ang issue rito mga kapatid, historic ito kasi nagkaroon na sa wakas, kinikilala na ng mga Arab state, bansang Arabo, yung pangangailangan na magkaroon ng normal na agreement.
May first airline na nag-land na ngayon sa Paris.
Sa UAE.
Yes,
so, isang malaking ano po yan, no?
Airline.
Historic po yan kasi dati po ang Israel, hindi po nila nilaland o hindi po allow even to fly sa airspace ng Arab countries.
So nag-fly sila over the airspace of the Saudis.
Oo, di ba?
So testing ground talaga ng mga Saudis.
Yun. So yun po mga...
Ayaw nila maging front. So ito mga Arab states nila.
So ito rin po ay merong sa reliyong Islam meron rin po itong rift sa kanila. Kasi many of Muslim countries are opposing to this Arab Accord. Diba? Kasi may condition. Kasi meron silang condition unless a Palestinian state should be created or established, there is no recognition, there is no agreement, there is no peace between the Jews. So, bakit ito strategic alliance? Ito po mga kapatid, some Arab countries are exhausted in supporting the Palestinian cause. Ibig sabihin, napapagod na sila sa pagsuporta sa yung layunin ng mga Palestino. Bakit mo? For more than 70 years, they are supporting the Palestinians. Pero po itong mga Palestinians nito, they are not interested in nation building. Kasi kahit po yung mga Palestinian themselves, they are fragmented eh. Andiyan po yung Hamas, andiyan yung Fatah, na hindi sila magkasundo. Among themselves, hindi sila magkasundo. Because of money. So, exhausted sila, no? They were dragged to this cause na hindi po beneficial sa kanila. Ibig sabihin, monetarily, exhausted sila. Psychologically, exhausted sila. Saka, morally, exhausted sila kasi they view Israel as the wicked one, yung masama. Diba? They are accused of Israel of apartheid. Diba? Inakusahan nila yung bansang Israel, yung mga Jews na treating the Palestinian as
they're killing the
Palestinian, the Arabs.
So that they will not bear children.
Oo.
So, they're targeting.
Alam niyo po yung apartheid, yun po yung racism na in-employ doon sa South Africa during the 1970s and 1980s. Segregating the whites from the blacks.
Pero sinabi ng United Nations that the most humane military today in the world is
the Jews, the Israel.
the idea.
The idea. So, ito po yun, no? Morally, ibig sabihin, they are not on the moral side. Ibig sabihin, they are accusing Israel of wickedly maltreating, mistreating the Palestinians na hindi naman totoo. No? So, yun po yung narrative, no? Some Arab countries are exhausted in supporting the Allied cause, the Palestinian cause.
So that's
Monetarily,
strategic alliance talaga kasi yan, Pastor. Kasi they are now recognizing that Israel is now a superpower. Parang number 8 na sila. Or,
top 10 sila. Top 10.
Top 10 of the superpower. So they have recognized that. The Saudis recognize that. They have become a
The Gulf
superpower. They have become a superpower in that region. So we all know that Islam is also divided between Sunnis and Shiites. Huwag natin din kalimutan yung factor na yan, bakit nagkaroon ng Abraham Accord. Yan yung yan. That's why Trump is given a, di ba? Ano ba binigay sa kanya? Nobel Prize for Peace, di ba?
He is nominated.
Siya yung nag-proponent
ng peace agreement between Arab and saka ito po mga kapatid, no, strategic alliance. Bakit po strategic? Kasi po, as we know today, the Middle East is in rift and it is in turmoil. May kaguluhan. Because of these two protagonists. Dalawa pong regional power na ito na nagbabay ng influence o hegemony sa area, sa region. Una po yung Iran. Yung Iran po ay nag-sponsor ng proxy war in the Middle East, in Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. Nakita po ng mga Arab countries which are mostly Sunni Islam, yung threat ng Iran,
which is Shiites.
Which is Shiite. Ito po kasi yung Islam ay nahati po sa two major sect, yung Sunni at ang Shiite. At marami po dito sa Middle East countries, sa Gulf countries, ay maraming mga significant population ng Shiite. Like for example, Iraq. Although Iraq ay matagal na pinamunuan ng isang Sunni leader na si Saddam Hussein, but most of its population, though Arab, are Sunnis, ay Shiites. Ito pong Qatar. Bakit po ang Qatar ay align sa Iran? Align sila among Gulf states at align sila sa Iran. Because most of Qataris are Shiites. Itong Yemen, bakit pong merong civil war ngayon na nagaganap dyan? Kasi itong mga Houthis, yung mga rebels dito sa that are seeking to overthrow the government, which is Sunni, ay mga Shiites. Ito po sa Syria, why Iran is supporting Assad? Kasi itong si Assad ay Alawitic. Isa pong sekta ng Shia.
Shiites dito yan.
Shiites yan. At ang Syria, ang population, much of its population are Sunni. So, ito po yung unawain natin bakit strategic alliance to. Itong Lebanon, na kung saan po sinusuporta ng Iran ay mga sinusuporta ng Iran dahil po sa Hezbollah, yung Hezbollah, which is a Shiite militia. Practically, they are running the country, yung Lebanon. No? Ito pong mga player na ito, itong Iran, she is sponsoring proxy wars and rebels, Shia rebels in the Middle East na nagtitreten doon sa leadership ng Sunni, ng Saudi. Diba, alam niyo po, pag nanalo yung mga rebels sa Yemen, may possibility na magiging threat sila sa Saudi. Bakit threat ang Sunni o Shiites sa Saudi? Kasi po gustong i-overthrow ng mga Shiites ang leadership ng Sunni doon sa mga holy places.
Which is located in Saudi.
Yun po. Strategic alliance. Kasi alam po nila itong bansang Israel, ito lang yung may will
They are
para to
willing,
confront,
they are willing to fight anywhere.
o di ba, to strike. Alam niyo po, sa record ng Israel, no, yung Iran, yung Iraq po, no, under Saddam Hussein, na attempt po na gumawa ng nuclear weapon, binomba po ng Israel yan. Ito namang si Assad, yung matandang Assad, si Hafez Assad,
Syria.
sa Syria, nag-attempt rin po na gumawa ng nuclear weapon, binomba ng Israel, airstrike rin ng Israel, which means itong Israel po ay merong willpower para i-confront yung mga enemies niya na nag-threaten sa kanya. So, a strategic alliance, knowing that Israel, with its weaponry, pwede nilang ma-deter yung Iran para i-thwart yung kanilang ambition. Pangalawa po, pangatlo pa lang, sa strategic alliance, Turkey. Itong Turkey po ay siya po yung former ruler ng Middle East by the means of the Ottoman Empire. So itong si Erdogan, si Recep Erdogan, yung dictator ngayon ng Turkey, gusto niya po i-resurrect yung glory ng Ottoman Empire. Recently, he declared Jerusalem is a Turkish Ottoman city, which is true. True naman. Ottoman city. Under Ottoman Empire, during the Ottoman Empire. So, ito no, habang kumikilos po ito, si Erdogan, si Turkey, to reclaim its former Ottoman glory, threat din po siya sa mga Arabs. Kasi itong itong Turkey, nagme-meddle po siya doon sa politics ng mga Arabs. And as we know, Israel has the ties. Meron po siyang kakayanan, meron po siyang mga tie, United States. Ano yan eh, yan yung treaty ally ng Israel eh. Treaty ally niya po yan, yung supplier. So, by allying themselves with Israel, they could deter Turkey in, di ba, meddling with their affairs. So ngayon po mga kapatid, mga kaibigan, no, sabi nga diyan, no, reshaping the Middle East political landscape. Kung dati po yung mga Arabs, they are against and in enmity sa state of Israel, ngayon po they are aligning themselves, realizing that they need Israel in terms of military, strategic alliance, kasi Israel nasa gitna eh. Ngayon po ang Israel, hindi na po siya nangangailangan ng oil supply.
They found natural gas.
Isa pang dahilan yan, why it is a strategic alliance. Ang Israel po ngayon ay magsusupply na, they have their own gas. Na-discover po niya sa Mediterranean Sea.
Worth trillions of dollars.
Trillions of dollars. It could fund, a source of income for more than 100 years para sa bansang Israel.
We will be supplying gas to the Europeans.
Di ba? Isa pong Pastor Lino, no? Isang benefits para rito ng mga Arabs, bakit tinawag rin itong strategic alliance. Kasi sabi ng United States, meron siyang policy na unless merong normal ties ang Israel in Arab countries, hindi sila magsusupply ng advanced weaponry sa mga countries na yan. So, yung United States po, mini-maintain niya yung qualitative ng weaponry ng Israel. Ibig sabihin, yung binibenta lang ng United States na weaponry, be it planes, tanks, or any other weaponry sa some other countries, ay hindi top of the line. Kumbaga, kung binibenta ng United States sa Israel ay Class A, dito Class C, Class B. So, qualitative na talaga yung binibenta ng United States sa Israel.
Dati raw, ang condition ng Amerika para magbenta ng mga weapons dito sa mga Arab nations is support yung climate change and LGBTQ. Ngayon, during the Trump administration, isang condition daw. Ano yun? Recognize the state of Israel.
Tingnan mo ngayon mga kapatid, no, they are falling in line in to have a peace, normalization or peace agreement with Israel. Ngayon, ang naririnig po natin, Sudan, yung sunod na,
That's
ano,
another strategic alliance of the nations that is mentioned in Ezekiel 38.
di ba? Sudan po, enemy yan sa
In
Israel.
Sheba and Dedan here in Ezekiel 38, they are not part of that coalition that will attack Israel.
Oman,
That is Saudi.
Oman, di ba? Saudi,
No, Libya,
Sudan,
Russia, Turkey, Sudan, and then Iran. Iran.
Yan po kasing Libya ngayon, they are in turmoil.
Libya.
Libya, in turmoil. Ito po yung strategic alliance kasi by this alliance, by this agreement with Israel, some Arab countries, meron na po silang privilege na makabili ng top of the line weaponry from the United States. Yung F-35 na which is the most advanced jet fighter in the world, pwede na silang mag-avail. So ito yung benefits ng mga Arabs dito. Isa pa, yung last. Peace agreement or strategic alliance. Diba? By having a normal ties with Israel, meron na silang access ngayon sa technology ng Israel. Israel po mga kapatid is the top 5 most technologically advanced country in the world.
Sa kanila
Number 1 po sa innovation.
galing sa kanila playing waste.
Number 1 po sa ito yung arid land agriculture. Kaya makapagpatubo ng mga halaman o vegetables o fruits kahit sa disyerto. Yeah? By aligning themselves, by having a normal relation or ties with Israel, these Arab countries will have the access doon sa technology na meron ng Israel. Ang Israel po mga kapatid ay nasa top 10 arms seller sa buong mundo. So walang magbabanta talaga militarily. Walang country ngayon na magbabanta na sakupin o gapiin yung bansang Israel. Kasi hindi lang siya economically, hindi lang siya technologically, hindi lang siya
Yung one evidence of that advance in technology, especially in their defense, di ba?
Yung defense.
Ano ba tawag dun sa
Iron Dome.
yun, the Iron Dome?
Yun nyo mga kapatid, sila nakapag-develop ng Iron Dome. Meron po silang dinidevelop ngayon na Iron Beam.
Iron Beam.
Laser naman. Laser. Sila po rin nakapag-develop ng, meron silang gumagawa silang sariling plano, gumagawa silang sariling missile, drones. So, Israel is capable siya sa kanyang sarili to defend herself. Right. So, ito po, Abrams Accord as historic, significant development that will reshape the political landscape of the Middle East.
Aside from reshaping the political landscape, I think this is really just a precursor again. We go back to that word. Someday there will be a treaty by the beast or the Antichrist. So these are just precursor. Yung mga non-believer of the tribulation or pre-tribulation will say that this is it. Ito na yun. Trump is the Antichrist. And this treaty is now the treaty that will bring peace. So, nasa last Trump na raw tayo. So, we are nearing the end. Ika nga.
So, yun nga yung gusto.
So, naalala ko yung before war, 7-day war ba yun? O 10-day war? 6 days war. The moment that Israel was recognized as a state, di ba? Then, in history, sabi nga, they have only 2 airplanes during that time.
No, yun po ay noong 1947.
Hindi pa ba yan yung unang war?
Ang unang war nila, Pastor, noong 1947, when yung infant state of Israel, yung 1948.
Yun ba yun yung 6 days war?
Hindi pa yun. So, 5 pong major Arab-Israeli wars. And all of those five major Arab-Israeli wars, the Arabs were defeated by the tiny state of Israel.
Yeah.
Tingnan niyo po that time, during that time, the Arab population was 100 million. Di ba? Ang population ng Israel that time, 1948, is less than half million.
Yes.
O how come, yun nga po, isang milagro ng Diyos. Di ba? And at that time,
In
yung
6 days.
ratio ng army ng Israel and the Arabs is 1-10. Ibig sabihin, merong isang sundalong Hudyo, Israel, sa 10 Arabong sundalo. Ang ratio naman po ng tangke ay almost 1-20. Ang ratio ng aeroplano mga kapatid is 1-30.
Pero sabi nga sabi doon sa history, yung mga tangke doon ng mga kalaban, kaya lang daw tumatakbo.
Diba?
Yun na mo kay history yung time na yun. Kumbaga, yung naging strategy nila kakaiba eh. Kumbaga, ang una nila pinuntirya din ng mga sasakyan papawid eh. So, wala nang nagamit na sasakyan itong mga Arabo. Yun yung naging tactica ng bansa Israel. Of course, we believe that Israel is the chosen nation of God, no? Na ito talaga yung iningatan ng Panginoon. At dyan sa may pangako. At we agree on that. No? Kaya sa kapanahunan po natin mga kaibigan, ito po ay patuloy pa rin na tinutupad ng Diyos yung kanyang pangako sa bansang Israel. Although marami pa rin mga bansa ang patuloy na nagnanais na pabagsakin ng bansang Israel, but still we believe na alam natin na ang Diyos ang patuloy na mapoprotekta dahil sa ipinangako, sa pangakong binitawan niya. No? So ngayon, kung kailan lang, Pastor, kung hindi nabalitaan, nagkaroon po na agreement between Arabs and Israel. No? Last, I think, August.
September 15. Signing sila ng agreement. Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates.
Pero there would still be succeeding or coming nations that would be coming to a treaty. Kasi nga, if Donald Trump loses the election, then they will revert back to the treaty with Iran. That's why they are hearing it right now, the treaty, and the other nations that would want to have peace. So that even if Trump loses, then they have the treaty.
So yun naman ang pinakalayunin nila eh. Pinaka-dayhangad nila ay yung magkaroon ng kapayapaan sa silangan. Nagpasabi ko baga sa yung mamamayan ng estados, ng bawat estados ay magkaroon ng kapayapaan. But of course, na rin, yung palawakin ng pakikipagkaibigan, no, palawakin. But alam natin po yun na lahat ng bagay na yun po ay kumbaga sa pagnanais lamang ng tao, di ba? Kumbaga sa kapayapaan na gusto nilang mangyari dahil alam naman natin ang paniniwalang karagdagang pag-unlad. Ito po yung kaparaanan nila upang mapaunlad pa yung labi ng bansa. Pakikipagkaibigan o yung nakakatugon sa mga interest ng pangmatagalang kapayapaan sa gitnang silangan. At ang hamon ay maaari lamang mabisang tugunan ng kooperasyon at hindi ng salungatan. So, kailangan magkaroon sila ng agreement na ganun para kasi alam naman natin sa simula pa lang, sa history, sa Bible time pa lang, alam naman natin kung paano nagkaroon ng hidwaan ito. Kaya ito po yung pilit na sinusolusyonan ng United Nations na ang bansang Israel at ang ibang kalapit nila na bansa ay magkaroon ng pagkakasundo para sa kapakinabangan daw ng lahat. No? So, meron ba ito, Pastor? Meron ba itong kinalaman sa mga darating na panahon? No? Ano ba yung
tribulation na ba ito?
Ito ba? Ano ba?
Sa tribulation period na ba tayo dahil sa mga pangyayari nito? Ito, si Pastor Rico.
Are we almost there? Sabi nga natin, what are the events that will lead to the second coming? What are the events that will lead to the tribulation? And what are the events that will lead to the end of the world? Parang synonymous yan. Second coming, tribulation, end of the world, tribulation, second coming. Are we there? Are we almost there, or are we about to end? Are we going to be in the establishment already of the kingdom? So these are the questions. No? Sabi nga, in Matthew 24 verse 3, that's the Olivet Discourse. We go back to that point. And in verse 2, and Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Basically, when the disciples asked the Lord Jesus Christ, tell us, sabi nga sa verse 3, what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So, basically, the Lord Jesus Christ, when giving this Olivet Discourse, He's not answering the question of the disciples. No? Hindi niya sinasagot yung tanong na yun. But He just gives out these events because God doesn't want to leave us dumbfounded of what He's going to do or what will be happening into this world. Kaya sabi sa Isaiah chapter 46 verse 9 to 10, He reveals what will be happening. Yun nga, yung Daniel 70th week vision, if we just follow it, it happened to the letter according to what Daniel had prophesied. It happened accordingly. So, ang Diyos, hindi niya tayo pinabayaan na hindi natin alam kung ano yung mangyayari. Ano po? So, question is, are we there? Are we almost there, that end of the world in the tribulation? Basically, ito, Olivet Discourse, yung sinabi dito na yung ng Panginoong Jesus na that there shall be not left here one stone upon. He was talking about the temple then, and it was destroyed. And then some, sabi nga natin, some wise guys, huwag natin tawagin silang iba, that identify them as wise guys na when the temple was destroyed in AD 70, that's the time the Lord Jesus Christ had already come. Yun yung argumento nila dyan, yung mga wise guys. So, if we will take that literally, then the temple was destroyed by Titus in AD 70, then the Lord Jesus Christ had come already now. But again, sabi natin, He was not answering the question of the disciples here in Acts, in Matthew 24. So then, if that is the sign of the time of the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, when the temple, when He said here, ito yung ginagawa nilang proof text. The temple was destroyed in AD 17, there's one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Yun daw yung sign. But again, sabi nga natin, the only thing that God doesn't give us a clear picture of what will happening or what will be happening is His second coming. Diba? Lahat ng pinlano ng Diyos, ayaw na tayong ma-leave dumbfounded. Sabi nga sa Isaiah 46 verse 9 to 10, He reveals everything. What will He be doing into this world? What will be history? What will be happening? And it is all unfolding before our eyes. But there's only one thing that He doesn't want us to know. Ano po? The only thing that is unknown is in Matthew 24 verse 36. Ano sabi doon? But of the day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. No one knows when the Lord Jesus Christ is going to be coming. So then, if the temple was destroyed in AD 70 by Titus, then he would have known na nagbigay siya ng signs kung kailan siya babalik. Tama po ba yun? If we will accept that argument ng mga wise guys, mga kapatid. Ano po? But it's very clear. No one knows. Again, my question there is this. If that is true, we will accept that. And these are some queries. Number one is where or when Jesus arrived. Saan at kailan siya dumating? Di ba ba? Sabi nga natin, yung Revelation, the Greek word is apocalypsis. That means He was made visible. It was a revelation of the Lord Jesus Christ. He did not, yung second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, it is not hiding. It is not a mystery. It is not a puzzle. It is a literal, visible return of the revelation of the Lord Jesus Christ. Kasi sasabihin ng iba, ng mga wise guys nga, that the Lord Jesus Christ has already arrived and He reigns in our hearts. But again, Revelation, sabi nga natin, it is a making of a visible. And then another question is the Jewish temple. In Daniel 9:27, alam natin that the Antichrist will come and proclaim himself as God. When in history did that happen? Diba? Sabihin nila, they will claim other names. Sabihin nila si other Roman emperors, di ba? O yung sino ba yung little general, si Napoleon Bonaparte, di ba? Ano po? Where's the Jewish temple? Caligula, sabi nila, yun daw yung Antichrist, di ba? Ngayon, sasabihin nila si Trump, ano po? So, nagiging finger pointing na lang, di ba? So, ano parang pumana si Peanut eh. Pumana siya. Pinana niya, tinira niya yung pana, mga pastor. At kung saan tumama yung pana, binulugan niya. Sabi niya, that's my target. Yun daw yung target niya. So parang ganun yan. They're shopping. Nag-shopping sila. Kung sino yung tinamaan yun. No? So yun nga, when and where Jesus arrived, the Jewish temple, in Daniel 9:27, the coming Antichrist will be revealed and proclaim himself and make null the treaty that he has made. Yung treaty ngayon is just a precursor of what will be the treaty in the tribulation. And another question is the rapture. Diba? When did it happen? Diba? In 1 Corinthians 15 verse 51 to 52, in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verse 16, it talks about the rapture, the snatching away of the believers. When did it happen?
When did it happen?
Hindi, sinasabi natin na tribulation is already done. When did it happen? Diba? Kailan nangyari yung rapture? It is a fact, it is a truth in the scriptures that there would be a snatching away of the believers. And yung classic example nga ng rapture is when Philip was preaching to the Ethiopian eunuch, di ba? Nag-preach siya about Isaiah and then binautismoan niya. And then suddenly, pagkatapos mabautismo ng Ethiopian eunuch, nawala si Philip. That is Philip was snatched away. Kaya lang sideways yung kanya. Hindi pataas. Sideways lang, di ba? Dinala lang siya sa
transport, ano lang siya, kumbaga,
tineleport lang. Snatch, that is the rapture. He was snatched away. No, pag nung Ethiopian eunuch ng tubig sa kanyang mukha nang wala si Philip. So that is the rapture, di ba? It is clear in the scriptures that there would be a rapture. When it did happen. And then the prophecy of Revelation. We all know that chapter 1 to chapter 3 is about the church. But the chapter 4 down the line are all prophetic. When in history did it all happen? If we will take that the tribulation is done already.
Nandito na tayo ngayon sa tribulation.
Yun ang sinasabi ng iba.
So, mga kapatid, it just means na itong agreement na ito,
we are just almost there.
Hindi pa ito yung sinasabi sa Biblia na magkakaroon ng agreement, magkakaroon ng peace and safety because of agreement with Israel. Diba? Kanya po, kaya natin pinag-aaralan po ito. No? Kasi ang Israel po ay isang senyales sa mga huling araw.
Correct. Whatever happens, you see, you just watch history, whatever happens to the nation of Israel affects the whole nation.
Cup of trembling.
Correct. No? So, sabi natin, no, just watch what will happen with the nation of Israel and it affects all other nations. And then another question nga, sabi ko nga, if the tribulation is done already, what is the comfort that is being mentioned in 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 18? And sabi sa chapter 5 verse 9 of 1 Thessalonians, we are not appointed unto wrath. It's very clear in the scriptures. The Apostle Paul tells the Thessalonian believers that you should comfort one another with this word. You know, the sound of the trumpet, dead in Christ will rise first, and then all that we are alive would be snatched away, would be caught up. Kaya nga sabi nga sa isang illustration, kung may kalilibing mo lang daw ng isang patay, na isang believer na patay, tapos biglang dumating na si Kristo, biglang mawawala na yun, maunahan tayo. So, yun nga, what's the comfort? Ibig ba sabihin? Do we have, yung ba yung comfort na you have to go all these things, watch the destruction, endure all of these things, and comfort one another with His word? Will you be comforted if you hear all of these things that has happened in the book of Revelation, and you are there, are you comforted with that? Will you be comforted?
Siyempre hindi. Di ba?
You are going to endure all of these things, then it's
You
not,
will go through the wrath of God, tapos may ano yung
it's
comfort
not a
doon.
comfort. It's not a comfort.
Sa mga kapatid, mga kaibigan, no? Sa ating pong mga Kristiyano, mga ligtas, ang hinihintay po natin yung pagbabalik ni Kristo.
Correct.
Hindi yung pagpapakita ni Antichrist.
Yes.
Kasi yung pagpapakita ni Antichrist o yung the beast, eh wala na po yung mga Kristiyano niya, wala na po yung mga ligtas niya, wala na po yung
Kaya
church.
kung tatanungin niyo ako kung sino yung Antichrist,
Wala
na akong pakialam.
ano, you don't care.
Yeah.
You don't need to point fingers na siya si Antichrist, di ba? Alam niyo po, ito yung,
Shopping na lang eh.
ito yung danger po kasi no, na yung mga finger pointing na ito yung tatak ng 666, siya si Antichrist. Pagdating ng panahon na pag dumating na talaga yung tatak ng 666 at dumating na si Antichrist, wala nang maniniwalang tao eh.
Correct.
Wala nang maniniwalang tao kasi it's like the boy who cries wolf. Who cried wolf na may wolf, wala naman. Eh, dumating na yung totoong wolf, wala nang naniniwala sa kanya. Alam niyo po yung Diablo, ano po yan eh, wise po yan eh. Matalino siya eh. So, bakit, alam niyo po yung mga nagsasabi niya, yan yung tatak ng 666, siya si Antichrist, di ba? Maraming naniturong tao eh. So, sabi naman sa Biblia, maraming mga antikristo. Yung mga small letter A na Antichrist. Pero may parating na Antichrist.
The ultimate Antichrist.
So, ito, ibalik po natin sa ating topic, reshaping the Middle East political landscape. This agreement between Israel and the Arab states. These are the signs of the times. Ito yung mga tanda lamang ng panahon. Alam niyo po, mayroong sinasabing prototype, yung things na parating na mayroong kalintulad. Halimbawa, itong agreement na ito, no?
So, that is the prototype. So,
Prototype.
sabi natin, yung keyword natin is precursor.
Precursor. Itong agreement na ito, mga kapatid, bakit ito significant? Ito? This could mean, by this agreement, this could mean na yung rebuilding ng third temple ng mga Hudyo ay closer is closer into realization.
Correct.
Alam niyo po bakit ano yung isang thorniest issue usapin sa between Arabs and the Jews, between Islam and Judaism? Yung mga holy places, di ba? Yung Islam po, yung mga Muslims, they consider the Temple Mount. Yung Temple Mount, kung saan po sumasamba yung mga Hudyo, doon yung Wailing Wall, they consider the third holiest site in Islam. So, doon rin po mga kapatid na nais itayo ng mga Hudyo ang third temple, yung kanilang templo para i-restore yung worship, i-restore yung
Mount Moriah.
Mount Moriah. I-restore yung offering, di ba? I-restore yung mga rights
Temple,
ng
yung
ceremony.
ceremonies,
Rights.
Levitical offerings.
So, yun. Isa pong sa mga thorniest issue yan eh. So, this could be the agreement that will pave the way in rebuilding the third temple.
Actually, this is just parang testing the waters yan, di ba? Pwede pala.
Dati, alam niyo po, siguro mga 20 years ago, peace between Arabs and the Jews was impossible. Imposible kasi, di ba mayroon ng condition yung mga Arab states and even Muslim states na unless there is a separate Palestinian state, there shall no peace with Israel. So ngayon po, nakita natin yung possibility na pwede pa magkaroon ng peace. And with this peace, tandaan po natin, ang pangalan po ng peace agreement nito, Abraham Accord. And as we know, and as they claim, that these three religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, ay galing kay Abraham. Kaya nga po, along with this agreement, there is a hidden possibility na tong tatlong religion na to ay mag-merge. There will be a merging of these three Abrahamic religion. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. So ito na yung closer na sa realization ng one world religion. Sign of the times. Tanda na po ng panahon. By this, di ba yung sabi sa Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, when they shall say peace and safety, so mga kaibigan, mga kapatid, there will be a peace and safety during the reign of the Antichrist. Ito na po, no, ito si Trump, siya po yung proponent ng peace agreement na ito eh. But, una po, no, historically, ang United States, first ever country that recognized Jerusalem as the capital.
Ayun pala yung sa pang-agreement pala ni Trump para magbentahan sila ng weapons. Is you must transfer your
Embassy.
to
In Jerusalem. So, ayun po, no, historic po ito. No US president na they live up to their promise in recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Not until Donald Trump in 2017 recognized, or 2018 recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. So ngayon po, because of that agreement, peace accord, Abraham Accord with the Arabs, some Arab countries are recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Kasi kasama po yung sa agreement eh. Unless they recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. So yun po, no, ito po, isang significant po ito, no? Yung Palestinian cause, di ba dati may isip natin, paano may sa katuparan yung, mayroong mga Palestinian dyan sa, sa Israel eh, na nag-claim sila ng separate country. So, siguro with this agreement, there may be peace at last doon sa country na yun. So, isa rin po itong tanda ng panahon na yung mga yung pag-rebuild ng temple, yung prototype ng peace agreement between nations. Di ba? Nakita natin kung gaano kagaling mag-lead ng agreement ni Donald Trump. Si Donald Trump po, mga kapatid, siya po ay hindi traditional politician. Siya po ay businessman. Si Donald Trump, hindi siya politician. Hindi pa nga siya tumakbo ng Senate, congressman, mayor. He is a businessman all of his life before his presidency. So tingnan niyo tong si Donald Trump, meron siyang ganun yung art of making a deal. Diba? Paano siya nakapag-push ng deal between this, di ba, yung naglalabang mga bansa. Diba? North Korea, diba? Historic po yung ginawa ni Trump. Ito yung, isipin niyo po na, we're not saying that si Trump po yung Antichrist, no?
Guys, dun sa Daniel, sabi, the coming Antichrist would be
charismatic.
Speaking pompous words.
Oo, diba? Magaling siya. Charismatic siya, tapos magaling siya mag-convince in the art of making a deal. Even yung leader, si Kim Jong-un. Si Kim Jong-il ba yun? Na ano niya, diba? Nakausap niya. Na napalambot niya. Sino pa yung mga si Putin, no? But tingnan niyo po, isipin niyo, no? There is a possibility na ito yung ganon yung charisma. Isipin po natin si Antichrist, si coming beast, 10 times yung dealing power, dealing genius ni Donald Trump.
Hindi na siguro.
Di ba? Kaya nga ako dun eh, doubtful ako dun sa pagkakaroon ng coronavirus ni Donald Trump. No? Ilang araw lang, gumaling na agad. Yeah. Malapit na eleksyon eh.
Injection na daw ng ano eh. Hindi, ng ano ba yun?
COVID-19.
Mapalakas pag nag-gym ka.
Red Bull.
Hindi yun. Steroids.
Oh. Ito po, no, political stamp lang po niya eh. Donald Trump, yung pagkakaroon ng coronavirus, calculated na yung ano yan. Siyempre, yung popularity rating niya, tumaas.
Just to prove na gumagaling.
Oo, di ba? Ilang taon na si Donald Trump?
89% that.
Ilang taon na si Donald Trump? 74. They're saying that mostly ng fatalities ng COVID-19 senior. O, tingnan nyo si Donald Trump, 74. And yet, naka-recover siya. Naka-recover siya. Ilang araw lang, wala pang 2 linggo.
Pero pa nga 99 years old yata.
Lumal 92, di ba?
Pero inabot ng ilang araw.
Oo, pero nabot na ilang araw. Ito si Donald Trump.
Ilang araw lang.
Pero mga kaibigan, hindi ho kami against kay
Donald Trump.
Trump.
So,
Pinag-uusapan lang po natin itong mga bagay.
yung prototype ng
Yes.
yung pag-forge ng deal, kung si Donald Trump ay ganon ka-charismatic na makapag-forge siya ng peace agreement between warring Arab nations and countries and Israel, how much more yun si Antichrist? Yeah. Isipin po natin 10 times na
More than 10 times.
more than 10 times. Magaling, charismatic kasi.
Kaya yan, ha?
Doon sa time po na yun, sa darating na panahon, there will be peace and safety sa buong mundo. Di ba? Wala nang digmaan. Wala nang gera.
Pero itong ano po nila mga kasar, itong goal nila ng pagkakasundo itong Arab at ng
Israel.
ng Israel. Ang goal nila pang matagalang kapayapaan.
Oo.
But at alam naman natin, ito ay ano lang naman, kasunduang pantao. At kagaya nga ng sinabi ni Pastor Ryan kanina, ito po ay kahalintulad lang sa mga bagay na parating. Kahalintulad lamang po siya. At we are not saying na ito na po yun, kagaya ng pinalawanan kanina ni Pastor Rico, sa mga bagay po na nangyayari po sa atin, marami hong mga nangyayari po sa atin. Pinapakita po ng Biblia po ay totoo. Nagsasaad ng mga bagay na yung nakikita po natin, yung problema nga lang talaga sa mga tao. Kapag may isang senaryo, kagaya niyan, may pandemya, sabi niya, katapusan na ito, di ba, may tatakan, ito na po yung sinasabi ng Bible ng 666, ganun yung kagad yung ano ng mga thinking ng tao. Parang ganun eh. Di ba? Pag sinabi na bubuho or lumindol, so halimbawa, lumindol kayo, naku, katapusan na ng mundo. At yan po yung mga bagay na naghatid ng lubusang pagkagulo, kagaya nga ng sinabi na ni Pastor Ryan kanina at saka ni Pastor Rico. Ito yung nagiging way ni Satan para pag dumating yung panahon na ang ating Panginoon po ay pumarito na, wala nang maniwala. No? Kasi ano lagi nang sinasabi yung mga ganitong bagay na nangyayari sa atin na ipinapakita naman, pinatutunayan naman ng Biblia na yung mga nangyayari sa atin ay may kahalintulad sa mga sinasabi sa Biblia. Pero ano po tayo mga kaibigan, especially kung ikaw po ay Kristiyano, tayo po ay hindi sakop, no? Hindi po tayo sakop ng tribulation na magaganap. Kagaya niya binigay ni Pastor Rico kanina sa 1 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 10, di ba? Hindi inano ng Panginoon na yung sa kanyang pagkagalit, di ba? Hindi tayo isasali ng Diyos. No? So kung mangyayari yun mga kaibigan, so walang kapatawaran tayong natanggap mula sa Diyos. Kung pati tayo ay kasama doon sa pagbubuhos ng galit ng ating pong Panginoon. So wala po tayong natamong kapayapaan at kapatawaran. At ganun din po mangyayari din po doon, papasok po tayo sa salitang ang magtiis hanggang wakas ay maliligtas. So magkakaroon po ng kamalian, ng kapahayagan na sinasabi natin, which is nakiluha po natin from the Word of God, na sinabi ang sinumang sumampalataya sa Kanya ay hindi mapapahamak. So nag-ano tayo na pinangawakan natin ang pangako ng Diyos na ang sinumang sumampalataya sa Kanya at we believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross of Calvary because of our sins or because of na mapapahamak tayo. So kung tayo po'y papasok sa tribulation, di ba? So mababaliwala po yung ano po natin, rotation po natin na tayo ay ligtas na. Di ba? So kasi sabi doon, ang magtiis hanggang wakas ay maliligtas. So mamamali po. Kaya hindi po, kapag sa panahon po natin mga kaibigan, lagi po namin sinasabi sa inyo, ang mga pangyayari po sa panahon po natin, ito po ay mga kahalintulad lamang kung ano po yung sinasabi ng Biblia. Pero wala pa po tayo doon, no? Wala po tayo doon at ako ayoko maranasan yun. Kung gusto nyo maranasan na makasama ang Antichrist dito, so it. So pero ako ayoko po. Kasi alam ko po na bago mangyari yun, ay kagaya na sinabi ni Pastor kanina, kukunin muna tayo ng Panginoon. So, napakaganda po. So, yung mga pangyayari po, mga kasunduan po yan, yan po, kahit hangarin nila ng pangmatagalan yan, alam po natin na hindi po magkakaroon ng katuparan yan. Dahil meron pong salita ng Diyos na pinatunayan kung ano yung plano ng Diyos sa bansang Israel. Bago pa man. Diba? Kaya mga kaibigan, sana po ay hindi ho kayo maguluhan. At kung meron ho kayo mga katanungan, pwede ho kayo magtanong.
Amen.
Pwede ho nyo isulat sa baba yung mga comment niyo at kung amin po mabibigyan ng time, amin po yung sasagutin sa biyaya po ng ating po. Panginoon. No, Pastor, ano po ba masabi niyo?
Okay, sabi nga natin, all of these things are, that the Lord, our God, did not let us dumbfounded with what is happening. Tayong mga mananampalataya. Para sa mga di mananampalataya, they are confused. They are afraid. Hindi na alam kung anong nangyayari. At sabi nga, some already committed suicide because of the confusion that is happening. But for us, God has never let us dumbfounded. We know, God revealed what it is going to do. He had revealed one thing that He has not revealed to us is that His second coming. No one knows. It is an imminent return of the Lord Jesus Christ. Kasi kung alam ng tao kung kailan darating ang Panginoon, malamang kinabukasan, as a church lahat ng mga tao. Diba? Darating ang Panginoon bukas, definitely, all people will be at church. So no one knows when Christ will come. But all these things that's happening, you see, it's all mentioned in scriptures. Ano po? Watch out what will happen to Syria. According to Isaiah chapter 17, Damascus will be destroyed. Damascus is Syria, modern day Syria. Ano po? No wonder Russia is involved in Syria. It's a far country, Russia. Anong involvement niya doon? Aside from oil. Diba? So that's another strategic alliance. Russia, napakalayo. Nag-strategic siya sa Damascus, which is modern day Syria. If Syria is destroyed, then war will happen. All these confederate nations will attack Israel to take spoil. But basically, sabi natin, kung susundan natin yung book of Ezekiel, sa Ezekiel chapter 36, it mentions the barrenness of the land of Israel. The land was barren. Ano po? Since in AD 70 they were destroyed, they were taken captive by the Romans. Then the promised land, the land of Israel, was barren according to Ezekiel 36. Ano po? Sabi nga, yung isang sikat na tao yata, nakalimutan ko yung pangalan, went there and he testified that
Mark
land, si Mark Twain, yan, ano sabi niya?
For 30 miles, you cannot see a living person.
Yeah, that's a barren land. And sabi nga, mosquitoes exist there and malaria lang ang nag-exist. Kaya yung mga may-ari nung Arab nung land na yun, France, they sold that gladly. Why? Because of the malaria. Ano po? Kaya papansinin niyo po sa mga African nations, bakit walang COVID? Diba?
Malaria kasi nun.
Because malaria, they are injected with that hydrochloric, yung sinasabi na gamot.
Hydrochloroxy.
No? So, sabi nga, but now today, sabi nga, the land of Israel is flourishing. Sabi nga, hindi dahil magaling sila mga agriculturists, or they are good farmers, but because sabi nga dito sa Ezekiel chapter 36, verse number 8, but ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. Diba? So, inutusan ng Diyos yung mga lupa, yung mga puno na magbigay bunga dahil ang kanyang mga anak ay babalik na doon sa panis. Kaya sabi ni Mark Twain, this is barren land. Ayun, walang mabubuhay dito. But now, they are flourishing.
Sabi nga niya, di ba, yung quoting, you can see 30 miles from all direction, there is no living person.
Malaria lang, meron.
Diba? Because of the barrenness and because of the isolated yung lugar.
So, Ezekiel 36 is history. And then we come to Ezekiel 37. Alam natin yun, diba? Very familiar yung chapter na yan. About the valley of the dry bones.
The nation of Israel will be resurrected.
Resurrected.
Established.
You just imagine the picture of the Holocaust. They were what? Skin and bones. Di ba? Skin and bones na sila doon, but yet they are still alive. Di ba?
Well, literally,
Literally, if you see the picture of Holocaust,
yung mga Jews in Europe, they were in concentration camps.
Ezekiel 37, the body of dry bones, they were resurrected, they came alive, they came out alive. They went back to their nation.
Homeland.
And now, basically, we are in Ezekiel chapter 38, mga pastor. No? The Lord did not let us dumbfounded of what He is going to do.
Wala tayong idea about that.
No, hindi tayo iniwanan ng Diyos na nangangapa, groping in the dark. You see, we are now in Ezekiel chapter 38, mga pastor. Ano sabi sa Ezekiel 38? And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Sino yun? Russia. And say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put yours into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Verse 5, Persia, modern day Iran. Ethiopia, not the Ethiopia that we know today. Sudan. And Libya, the Libya that we know today. With all of them with shields and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarma. Sino yan? Turkey. And all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it's brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. Thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Again, strategic alliance. Kung merong strategic alliance sa Middle East, sa Arab nations, no wonder Russia is involved in Syria, Damascus. Siya yung sa Ezekiel 38. Libya, Sudan, Turkey, Iran are, sabi nga, in history, they hate each other. Mga radical Muslims. They will never be united. They hate each other.
Politically,
But now, they are friends. They have come together. Ezekiel 38 is unfolding before our eyes. They will attack Israel, not because they hate Israel, not because they want a land for the Palestinians. They will attack Israel for what purpose? Sabi sa verse 12. To take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. What is the reason why they are going to attack Israel? To take a spoil, to plunder, to take a spoil. You see, sabi nga, Israel doesn't need those nations because Israel is flourishing already. They are rich, they are prospering, they are secure, they are safe. Diba? And then, sabi natin, if something happens to Damascus of Syria, then all these confederate nations, you see, Turkey is angry with Israel right now. Bakit, Pastor? Wala kang makitang oil ang mga Turkish. Sabi na, sa Black Sea daw, mayroong oil, but they have never found oil. Ano pa? Russia is angry with Israel. Bakit, Pastor? Instead of Russia supplying oil to the European nations, it was cut off by Donald Trump. And Donald Trump promised the European nations that Israel will be the one to supply oil. Galit ngayon si Vladimir Putin
Sa Israel.
sa Israel. So, the reason why these nations will attack Israel not because of the Palestinian cause, not because they hate Israel, they will attack Israel. Why? Because they will take a plunder. They will take spoil. And what is that? Natural oil. Sabi nga natin, lately, they have discovered oil in the land of Israel worth trillions of dollars. So, Ezekiel 38 is unfolding. I hope and I pray that before this war happens, ma-fracture na tayo.
Sabi ko nga, no, dagdag ko lang din ako. This accord, ito pong agreement nito, maaari po ito ring mag-lead sa regional conflict, isang regional conflict. Hindi ito maaari itong mag-lead ng regional conflict in the sense na hindi naman talaga lahat magkakaroon ng peace agreement and normalization with Israel. And as you read it in the book of Ezekiel, Gog and Magog, by the leadership of Gog and Magog, they will attack the state of Israel. Katulad yan, Turkey, ba't sila, ano yung ambition ng Turkey is to restore its former glory, Ottoman glory. At itong Turkey, gusto niya yung mag-curve ng territory doon sa Syria. Tingnan mo, tingnan niyo po, no? Sabi nga ni Pastor Rito, no? Itong mga countries nito, they hate each other, but they are united, but they will be uniting in the purpose of destroying and plundering Israel. Itong mga Turks nito, galit ito sa Russia. Historically, they were enemies.
Oh, Russians and the Turks.
Russian Empire, Ottoman Empire, di ba? At itong mga Persian, galit rin ito sa mga Russian eh. Suspicious ito eh, ng mga Russians. Itong mga Turkey and Iran, magkaaway din yan.
Shiites and
Sunni.
Sunni yan.
Oo. Kasi itong Persia, yan lang ang hindi nasakop ng Ottoman Empire during sa kanyang reign.
Victoria Ottoman.
Oo, siya lang hindi nasakop ng Ottoman Empire. So, pero ito po, no, sabi sa Biblia, they will align themselves in the last days to destroy Israel. Maybe itong accord po nito, itong agreement nito, sabi nga, di ba, reshaping the political landscape of the Middle East. Para itong reminiscent, nagpapaalala sa atin ng World War I, bago po maganap ang World War I, yung mga nations po and empires, they are aligning themselves, di ba, against one another. Kanya-kanya po sila ng alignment, kanya-kanya po sila ng alliance in opposing the other side. So, ganito rin po yun. Yung mga Saudis, ay yung mga Sunnis, the leadership of ano nyo po, ang author ng agreement na ito, isang proponent din ito eh. Pero behind the scene, yung mga Saudis.
Correct, Saudi Arabia.
Yung mga Saudis kasi they are in much enmity with the Iranians, with the Ayatollahs, saka Turkey. So nakita po nila tinitingnan siguro nila yung Israel na pwede natin maging weapon ito. Diba? Itong Israel na ito, imbes na tayo yung haharap, kasi Muslim sa Muslim.
Kaya nga din sa Ezekiel chapter 30, sila yung sa verse 13, Sheba and Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, and all the young lions. The young lions probably will be referring to
Gold sticks.
the European, not the European, to America or
Gold sticks.
hindi, sila yung the merchants of Tarshish.
Oh, okay.
Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish. Kaya sabi niya, magtatanong lang sila dito, they will not oppose the attack of this nation. Remember, no? Ito lang yung superpowers that have united for the first time to attack Israel. Kasi laging kaaway ng Israel, yung mga neighbor niya, mga Arab nations. But this is the only time that the superpowers of the world will unite and attack Israel. At anong gagawin lang ng Saudi, at saka ng Amerika, at ng mga merchants of Tarshish? Ang sabi dyan, art thou come to take a spoil, as thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? They will not do anything. They will just watch in the sides. Of course, once we all know that these nations will be destroyed by them, they will attack Israel. Of course, radical Islam will be destroyed by them. So, doon na lalabas ngayon yung Antichrist, and the European nations will not do anything about that attack. Why? Because once all of these nations are destroyed, then that is the time the Antichrist will rise and unite all these nations. And then, sabi nga natin, once the treaty is signed, according to Daniel 9:27, then the tribulation will begin. But again, sabi nga natin, there would be a great exchange first. The next event that we are waiting right now, sabi nga natin, we live in a troublous times right now. We are gearing towards globalism. If Donald Trump loses this election, then we are ready for that globalism. Pastor. If Donald Trump loses. But again, the next event that we are waiting in history is the rapture of the church. That is our comfort. Diba? The great exchange. What is the great exchange, Pastor? We must go out so that the Antichrist will come. We must go up so that Satan will go down. So that is the great exchange. Whatever happens, sabi nga natin, who would be that Antichrist? What will happen in the rapture? May maliligtas pa ba? Ito all of these questions, di ba? May maliligtas pa ba ng mga Gentiles? Sabi ko nga, kanina, di ba, Pastor, wala na ako pakialam kung anong mangyayari.
Basta ako ligtas.
Basta tayo na rapture na, we are together with the Lord, and that's it. Sabi nga, parang pag nag-check-in ka sa hotel, di ba? Pag check out mo sa hotel, paglabas mo sa hotel, wala ka nang pakialam kung anong mangyayari dun sa hotel na yun. Tama ba mali?
Tama.
Hindi mo na iisipin pa, sino pa kayong mga customer ang papasok dun sa hotel mo? Isipin mo ba yun? Isipin mo ba kung gaano, kung ano mangyayari, kung kikita ko ba yung hotel na yun? Hindi na. Diba? Bakit? Umalis ka na rin. Diba? So, we snatch away. No one knows when will that happen. That is an imminent return of the Lord Jesus Christ. At the first coming, sabi natin, 2 phases. In the first phase, He will come for the church. And in the second phase, He will come together with the church. So the rapture, the snatching away, that is the comfort, that is the thing that you are waiting, no one knows. Let us heed the parable of the 10 virgins. Ano yung parable of the 10 virgins? They are waiting for the bridegroom. Yung 5 doon,
unprepared.
Walang lamp, walang oil. May lamp.
Pero walang oil.
May lamp sila, may ilaw sila, pero wala silang oil. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Yun yung mga professing believers, professing Christians.
Sabi nga nung pastor, naubos na yung oil.
Naubos yung oil. No. Yung follow-up doon, di ba, yung wise men and foolish men who build their house, the other one is destroyed. Why? Because they are professing believers. So, let us take the heed of that parable of the 10 virgins. We must be ready. Sabi ko nga, lagi ko sinasabi, kahit sa mga estudyante ko, I always tell them, the reason why Christ has not yet come, one reason probably is that we do not pray for His coming. Diba, sabi nga sa pattern for the Lord's Prayer, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. May mga nag-prayer request na ba sa church ninyo na, Pastor, prayer request ko, sana dumating na si Kristo. Walang ganyan.
Hindi, so sabihin mo, hindi, puntahan mo na lang siya.
Puntahan na lang. O, pwede rin naman.
Hindi pa siya darating, puntahan mo na lang.
Is to be present.
Okay, so muli mga kaibigan, salamat po sa pagsama niyo po sa amin sa talakayan po natin regarding po sa reshaping the Middle East political system.
These are just because.
Yun po ay ano lamang po, yung mga nangyayari po sa atin ay inihahalin tulad lang po sa mga bagay na mangyayari o parating. So ulitin po namin mga kaibigan, kung kayo po may mga katanungan, nais po mabigyan ng kasagutan. Kami po ay handang maglingkod ng patalikod, handang magbigay ng kasagutan ayon po sa biyaya ng Panginoon po. So maraming salamat po sa pagsama niyo po sa amin hanggang sa muli.
Not until the number of the church that will be saved, the number of the Gentile believers will be complete, then rapture will happen.
So,
hindi pa kompleto. So, ang challenge sa atin let us continue sharing the gospel and winning souls until such time the number of the church, the number of those that will be saved is complete and the rapture will happen.
Yun nga po ang trabaho natin ngayon, ang mangaral ng mangaral ng mangaral ng salita ng Diyos. Yun po ang kailangan po natin gawin. No? So, mga kaibigan, sumama kayo ng soul winning. So, bukas po, it's
So,
Sunday na naman.
street preaching tayo.
Oh, street preaching.
So ito lang po, no? Sabi nga, convey the message anywhere, anyhow. Diba? Kung ano, ito po, by this means, we are conveying the message, the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. By explaining
The message of peace.
the message po. Yung tamang pagpapaunawa, pagpapaliwanag ng salita ng Diyos. Kasi may mga nako-confuse, may mga nagtuturo na ito na yung, siya na yung Antichrist, ito. We are debunking,
Yan na yun.
we are
May
debunking
Antichrist.
those assumption, false assumption ng mga maling doktrina, mga bulak na ng mga. By this means, by this way, we are conveying the gospel. Kailangan ng isang tao si Kristo. Kailangan yung sumampalataya, tanggapin yung ginawa ni Jesus doon sa cross ng Kalbaryo bilang kanyang katubusan ng kanyang kasalanan. Yun po ang ibig sabihin ng sino mang tatawag sa pangalan ng Panginoon ay maliligtas. Ang pinakamahalaga po sa lahat, kahit anumang usapin, ay ang kaligtasan ng kaluluwa ng isang tao. So, ayun ang pinakamahalaga sa lahat. Anumang kaganapan o magaganap dito sa sanlibutan, dito sa daigdig, ay wala pong kabuluhan yan kung hindi po maliligtas ang kaluluwa. Pinakamahalaga sa lahat yung kaluluwa ng isang tao. Yun lamang po ang ating mensahe. Any last word? Hindi po.
Gospel preaching.
Sa iyo po na mga kaibigan, abangan niyo po yung mga susunod pang topic. Ito po ang nais po ng ating Panginoon na tayo pong lahat ay baligtas. So kung may pagkakataon mo kayo mga kaibigan na mapakinggan ang salita ng Diyos, please grab this opportunity. Dahil ito po ay kailangan po natin. Hindi po bukas, hindi po ngayon. Kundi saan mang oras na mapakinggan mo ang salita ng Diyos, bigyan niyo po ito ng halaga. Sapagkat ang buhay po natin dito sa mundong ito ay hindi pang matagalan. Po. So abangan niyo po mga susunod po natin mga talakayan sa iba't iba pong pag-uusapan dito po sa doctrine, discussion, and study. Po. So maraming pong salamat sa inyo mga kaibigan at magandang gabi po sa lahat. Po, sa mga kaibigan po natin. So, sa mga Kristiyano po, may pananambahan po tayo bukas. Huwag niyong kalimutan. Ang araw ng linggo at ang araw ng bukas ay para sa ating pong Panginoon. Maraming salamat po, Pastor Paolo. Okay. So, maraming salamat po, mga kaibigan. Magandang gabi. Sorry.
Okay na.
Okay.
Hanggang sa susunod na talakayan po.
Opo. God bless you.
Meron po yung suggestion na gusto nating pag-aralan.
Opo, yung topic. Kung gusto niyo po magkaroon po na tayo ng topic na gusto niyo talakayin namin, pwede niyo po kami i-chat. Ano po natin, pag-uusapan po natin. At kung nahiya naman ho kayo magtanaw, kagaya po ng ginawa ni Jennifer, nag-private message po siya. Hindi yung makaraan pa siya. Ngayon, hindi pa siya chat baka nasa trabaho. So, pwede ko kayo mag-private message kung gusto niyo po na magkaroon po ng pag-uusapan at magkapagbigay ng kaliwanagan sa lahat po. Hindi, salamat po. Magandang gabi.
Bayan.
God bless you all!